Okay, hello and welcome to our next Burnout and Beyond presentation and chat that we are having. I'm so pleased to have some lovely ladies with me today. I love this monthly get together that we have, and we have different people that jump on each month, which is nice. This is something that I'm super passionate about. Now, for those that don't know me, my name is Nikki. I'm the host of Transform, Thrive, Unleash. And there, what we do, I'll explain a little bit further on what we actually do there. But I'm going to just take you through on a PowerPoint because I've got a Meet Me slide. So why not show you? Because then I can actually show you my little boy as well. Okay, so if you can type in the chat for me, if you can see my screen, that would be brilliant. It's just coming up now. So let me know in the chat or in the Q&A if you can actually see my screen, and then I will carry on. All right, Heather, thank you. All right, I'm just moving some chat boxes around so I can actually see. Great. Okay, everyone can see. So Burnout Beyond, all right, and what we're going to be talking about today is how to spend a mental health day. So as I said, I am the founder of Transform, Thrive, Unleash, a group that I'm super passionate about, and I have lovely women that I work with primarily to help them go from kind of surviving to a little bit more thriving. So a little bit about me. I'm a single mum to this gorgeous little boy. He's turning 6 in December. He thinks he's about 26, but he is amazing. This is Harper. So I have been a single mum since I was 19 weeks pregnant. So it's all that I've ever known. And we're kind of a little duo, so it works really well. Now, I've been a police officer for 21 years. I work with the federal police, so not in uniform. I was in plain clothes, and my specialty was kind of narcotics, people smuggling, and counterterrorism. And I spent around 7 years of my 21 over in Indonesia, living in primarily Jakarta. If you've been to Indonesia, most people have been to Bali, and that's lovely. Jakarta is heavily polluted. There's just traffic everywhere. It sometimes took me 10 minutes to get to work, and then other times it would take 2 hours. So that was what the traffic was like. So very, very busy. Overseas, I worked on counterterrorism and people smuggling, and it was full on. And I returned back to Australia in 2012 and tried to settle in back at home, back at work. I was back in the people smuggling team, so I was doing something that I knew very well. At that stage, I was basically Australia's leading expert on people smuggling from my time in Indonesia. And so I was very comfortable doing what I was doing, but I felt not quite right. I didn't feel like I kind of fit in. And it was funny because when you go overseas, they talk about having culture shock. So you go overseas and, people speaking a different language, everything's different. And you have a bit of culture shock, food's different, smells are different. I had it coming back. So when I went over there, I just straight away, I loved it. I felt so at home there. I worked alongside the Indonesian National Police, and they became my closest friends for years. And I had some fantastic Indonesian friends. And I had an Indonesian boyfriend for quite a few years as well. And that's a whole other story to go there. But anyway, then when I came home, everyone was so excited to have you home, and they wanted to catch up, and they wanted to, have social events, and your family wanted to ask you questions, and it became a little bit too full on for me. And I started to withdraw socially. I found that a little bit tricky for me. At the time, I didn't kind of see the signs, but I did start seeing a psychologist and saying, I just don't feel like I fit in here. Like, it's just, I keep seeing Indonesia and it's just all coming back to me. And, there were some quite traumatic events that I dealt with over there and in my time in the police force in general. And so fast forward to 2018, the 28th of October, 2018, I was staying at my parents' house, and I woke up that morning and my mum couldn't understand what I was talking about. She couldn't understand what I was saying. I was so slurry. I had a thumping migraine. I was seeing flashbacks of different events, and they were just coming at me from left, right, and center. And so from that day, my life changed. And I was very quickly diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder from my time in Indonesia and my time in the police force. And it's now coming up to my 4-year anniversary of that diagnosis. And I have not been able to return to work. And I've been told that I'll never return to work in the police force, which has been really, really difficult. So tell me in the chat if you are, if any of this is resonating with you, because it's quite hard to be vulnerable and tell people these things. So I'd love to know that you're still there and you're listening. That would be really great. So for me, life changed. Everything was different. And as I said, I'm a single mum, and so I had to be there for my son, but at the time go through massive recovery. And I also had a big sort of identity shift, being a police officer for so many years. And I was a workaholic, as are a lot of good police officers. We're workaholics. We would have, lived at work if we could. We worked triple shifts if there was a job on. And, you couldn't really come home and talk about what you were doing. Not that I had anyone at home to talk to, but like I couldn't talk to my family or anything about a lot of the work that I was doing because it was classified or it was terrible. And most normal people don't get exposed to such sort of atrocities and things like that. And by this time, when I was diagnosed, I was back working in counterterrorism. So I'd had my time in Indonesia in counterterrorism. And then because of my experience there, they brought me into the counterterrorism team in Australia. So that's where I was working when I came back from maternity leave after having Harper. So the difficult thing with this is that I would not wish this upon my worst enemy, what I've been through. And look, I know that there's people that have been through worse in their life. There's terrible heartache for so many people. But what I went through and still do is absolutely terrible. And so I went on a mission to find purpose. And that's what I really needed to do to stay sane and to recover. I had to find purpose. And of course, I have purpose in being a mum, but I also needed something for me. And the times that he was at daycare or the times that he was at school, which he's in prep now, between the hours of 9 to 3, I still need purpose. Now, I can't work anymore. I spend a lot of time filling out forms and doing lots of things like that. So what I did was I dived in and started helping others. I've always mentored and I've done that through the police force. I have a network marketing business and I do business coaching for people in the direct sales network marketing field. So I have clients that I deal with there. So I'm always mentoring and coaching there. And what I decided to do was to expand that and start helping women who were like me, not necessarily heading for a diagnosis of PTSD, like it doesn't have to be a mental illness, but it came out of nowhere and hit me like a cricket bat across the back of my head. And when I look back now, there were so many signs that I was burning out. Not that I was burnt out, that I was burning out. There were so many signs that I wasn't fitting in. And so I went on a mission to help as many women as I can to live life without any of this kind of stuff ever happening to them. And so that's where I created Transform, Thrive, Unleash. And for this, it was about taking women who just don't feel right. They might feel a bit bored, a bit overwhelmed, a bit like life's just cycling, and try and take them to having, like I did, purpose, having something to work towards. You know, you don't have to have a diagnosis of a mental illness to still reach out and have help. And a lot of my clients are perfectly mentally fine. But they feel like they're kind of searching for more, or they feel like they're just a bit uneasy, a bit, the words to kind of find. And that's who I work with. And it's fantastic. So I can draw on my experience with mental health to help women, and I work kind of in a high performance field. So I help using a high performance methodologies. I help women find purpose. So let's talk about burnout, because that's what we're here for today. And we also want to talk about beyond, and so that's why we're going to talk about how to spend a mental health day. So burnout can be mental and physical exhaustion. It's a severe stress condition. So a lot of the stress that comes from within has massive physical effects on your body as well. So it's not just mental, it's also physical. And let me know in the chat if, you've suffered burnout, or you've suffered with a mental illness, or you feel like you kind of running into a little bit of burnout now. Let me know in the chat so I know kind of where you're at. Maybe you've got a family member or a friend that's experiencing something like this, or you just, maybe a little bit interested. I suppose ask yourself why you're here tonight. Like I said, it can lead to other illnesses because mentally, there's so much impact on the body as well. And you can't leave burnout untreated, because what will happen is you'll end up like me, and that's not what you want. I feel a bit in the fog from time to time. Yep, totally get that. Okay, so with burnout, I said you can lead to severe physical, yes, mental, yes, and emotional exhaustion. Sometimes I've felt like, do I have chronic fatigue? So that's what I've kind of thought. Do I have glandular fever? Or do I have chronic fatigue because I'm so tired? But like it says here, it's worse than ordinary fatigue. And it can make, day-to-day things, like things that you found easy. And this was one of the signs for me that I didn't pick up. Things that I found so easy became so hard. That's what, that really, really was hard to deal with, and I didn't know what was wrong. And a lot of it was because I was pregnant. So when these signs were coming up, I was pregnant. So people were just saying, oh, you're pregnant. That's why you're tired. You're pregnant. That's why your memory's going. And had I not been pregnant, maybe this would have been picked up. Angela, feeling burnt out, being diagnosed with adrenal exhaustion. Yes. Yeah, 100%. So you need to really, really be careful. You can lead to serious physical and psychological illnesses like depression, heart disease, diabetes. So there are a lot of things that are kind of stress-induced physical illnesses. At the moment, one of the things that I'm dealing with is arthritis pain that they believe has been brought on from my PTSD. And if you go and research PTSD and arthritis, you will see that there are linkages between arthritis and PTSD. It is kind of insane. One of my friends, he has PTSD-induced diabetes. It's because your body is running crazy, and then you have all these physical symptoms. Sounds similar to what I've been feeling in the last few months, Anita. Yeah, I totally sympathize. And I'm so glad that you're on here, because look, if there's one thing that you take out of this, just one thing, and that's all I want, that you take maybe one thing out of this, ladies. So anyone can have this. Now, I was ambitious, I was driven, I was extremely capable, I was intelligent. I say was to a lot of these things, so I don't always feel this way now. And I could multitask like a boss. I set up a task force. This is what drives me crazy. I set up a task force for 140,000 police officers in Indonesia, across the Indonesian archipelago, to work on people smuggling. And now I sometimes struggle to make my bed. So anyone can have this. And a lot of it, they talk about first responders, which is, obviously what I was, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be being a mum. It can be being on your own. It could be financial stress that sends you down this. Anything can actually trigger it. It can be career induced. It can be, personal factors. And like, say there, people that, like at the moment, my mum, for example, is caring for my nana. She has quite bad Alzheimer's. And then her husband, my mum's father, he has stage 4 cancer, and now he's just found out he's got a brain tumor as well. Then on the other side, my dad's brother has lost his wife, and then within 3 months has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and he's all over the place. So my parents are dealing with a lot of stress, dealing with just these kinds of things. So, it can really affect anybody. And particularly those that are those type A personalities, those ones that are really super capable, they can experience burnout. Because I suppose when you think about it, the people that are, pretty chilled out, don't care about their job, just, go through life, pretty easy, they don't really get that stress, do they? So now some of the signs, you have isolation, which is what I talked about earlier, when I started to withdraw from my family, even because it's just, how are you? What's it like being back from Indonesia? Hey, you're fitting in. How's work? Where are you living? But too much. It was too much. So I started to isolate a bit and get irritable as well, like with myself as well as others. Like I was getting frustrated because I couldn't do the things that I used to do. And this is prior to diagnosis. I started to get really, really tired. And as I said, people said, well, you're pregnant. Now, I do get very, very tired still now. Illnesses, you might get really run down. I suffered a lot with sinus. I wouldn't really call that an illness. But then you can also start having these fantasies of traveling the world and getting out of life. And you're basically just wanting to, lose reality a little bit being there. So what I wanted to do was to give you some positives today. I wanted to talk about how to spend a mental health day. And a lot of this comes down to just taking a bit of care of yourself. And a lot of these things you will know, and you're like, yeah, get a good night's sleep. Everyone says that. But there's a lot of things, and there's a lot of linkages between burnout and weight gain, for example. And if you do get put on any medication, you can really, really gain weight. Unfortunately, due to the medication I've been on over 4 years, I've put on 40 to 50 kilos and being told that it's near impossible for me to get it off while I'm still on medication. So that makes it very hard. But you can't lose weight. You physically cannot lose weight if you're not sleeping. So you need to get a good night's rest. So you need to actually do some kind of rituals to get yourself ready for bed. Make sure you've got, no light in your room. Maybe could you make it smell nice? Could you put some, like she's got that nice fluffy pillow there. Make your room a bit of a sanctuary for yourself, so that you're really encouraging that good night's rest. That is a really good one to do. Setting goals. This is super, super important, because when you become burnt out or you're heading towards burnout, you start to lose focus of future. So you need to kind of set goals so that you're future pacing your thoughts. A lot of people don't think about this. They think it's just, to-do lists and things like that, but it's not. It can be things that you want to do in life. And I know, through my 4 years, if I've spoken about things that I want to do, in the future I want to buy this caravan, or I want to go on holidays here, my treating doctors are really excited because I'm future pacing, which means I want to be here. So that's really important. So setting goals, what kind of things would you like to achieve? At the moment, I've been asked to come up with something that I want to do to fill in a little bit of the time during the day when I'm not, able to work, obviously. And I do keep very busy with my business, but what else can I do? And I wanted to go back and continue just privately, not through any kind of coach or anything like that, but I just wanted to go back and refresh and start to relearn my Indonesian language, which I was a little bit funny about because I thought, a lot of my PTSD is linked to Indonesia. Is it a bad thing to learn Indonesian? But my doctor thinks it's a good thing. So I can teach Harper Indonesian. I mean, it's something that I was able to speak Indonesian quite, not fluent, but quite fluently. Going back and trying to refresh that. I've been outside of Indonesia for quite some time now, so I've lost touch with a little bit of the language, and I'd love to be able to still speak to my friends, and they talk to me in English, but I'd love to be able to speak to them in Indonesian and practice a bit. So there's a goal that I've got. One of the big goals that I had within this 4 years was to buy a caravan for Harper and myself. And I wanted a caravan on wheels, and we wanted to go everywhere. And then my parents thought, maybe might not be the best idea for me. Why don't I buy a caravan that's, fixed in a location? So I ended up buying a caravan and annex down on Phillip Island in Victoria, and we love it. It's our happy place. We go there every school holidays. I've been able to decorate it in ways that I really love, and with colors that I love and sort of styles, and it's just been like a little home away from home, and as I said, my happy place. And so that was part of my goals list, and when I achieved it, I was super excited. And that's the thing, like, you're giving yourself that ability to get excited about things. So there's where goals are really good. Tell me in the chat, what's one goal that you would like to do? What's something, if you were thinking in the future, you would like to, it could be sitting there going, I'd like to run a marathon. I'd like to have a day where I actually feel good. It could be that simple. It doesn't have to be big things. So tell me, what is something that you would put on your goals list? Somewhere you might want to travel, or maybe there's a concert or someone you would like to see in concert. Anything. What could be one of your goals? So tell me in the chat, what would be something that you would put on your goals list if you had one? Oh, Heather, travel around Australia. Absolutely lovely. That would be so nice. I'd love to do that. I've thought a little bit going, maybe I could just pull Harper out of school. He's only in prep. How important is that? And, and just travel around. I thought that would be nice. Now, this one here is a little bit different, eating breakfast, because a lot of people intermittent fast now. And so sometimes they don't eat breakfast. So you don't necessarily have to do this. But for me, I don't eat breakfast, but I try and have a nice lunch. I'm looking at this picture of that, and I'm like, yummo, like that looks amazing. So you can lose touch and lose your taste buds a little bit. So trying to find something that you like and let you enjoy food without you going crazy, because you don't want to stack on the weight, and then that makes you feel worse. But you need to nourish your body. So if you are hungry and you're feeling hangry and you start to get a bit irritable, you need to start eating. So if breakfast is your thing, you need to eat breakfast. Maybe it's a shake, smoothie. You don't have to have full-on eggs and bacon and everything like that. Angela wants to travel overseas. Love that idea. Okay, exercise. Now, part of my recovery is attending an exercise physiologist twice a week. And a lot of that is because I have an appointment that I have to go to, and I don't miss appointments. But if I was to go to a gym and just have a gym membership, I just wouldn't go, because me and exercise, we're not friends. I don't like exercising. I hate gyms. And every day, today I had to go to the exercise physiologist, and I was like, no, I don't want to go, and when I got there and I did the work, I was kind of looking at the clock going, just get me out of here. Harper was on day off from school today. It was a public holiday, and so he was with me, so that made it a little bit trickier. But I still was looking at the clock going, let me out of here, let me out of here. But I did feel good, not just because, the endorphins and all of that. What it was mentally was I felt good to know that my body was still strong and it could do some things that before they probably couldn't. So during my 4 years, there's been times where I haven't been able to stand up to brush my teeth because I didn't have the energy to actually stand up. So I became, maybe doing 200 to 300 steps a day. So that's it. Not much at all, because I literally couldn't. And I thought I was dying because I thought my body was actually shutting down. So things like today, where I went and I was doing some weights and things like that, and realizing that my body, I'm not dying, my body is still strong. And when you feel like your body can hold you up a lot better, that does help. So Anita, me too. I love walking in nature. Can't do gyms. Yeah, no, not a fan at all. Do some mental work. So this is really, really important. You need to exercise your brain. But at the same time, this is where, like Heather was saying, she's feeling a bit foggy from time to time. We want to keep our brain active because it can go in the wrong way. It's very easy when, we are a bit burnt out, when our mental health is not that great, when we are feeling a little bit foggy, for our brain to go running to places that we don't want it to go to. So what we want to do is to have things that we do. So we want to, work around mindfulness, or maybe it's journaling, or it could be meditation, something that exercises your brain. Like me, maybe learning Indonesian, I'm actually going to do something with my brain and make it work. Heather, crosswords, jigsaw. Using those apps, they're fantastic. So there's so many things that you can do, and it is a muscle. Your brain is a muscle. You've got to exercise it, and it's really important to keep yourself mentally strong so that you can fight through this. This is the thing. You've got to fight to get yourself well again. And so, like, feeling burnt out, Angela talking about being diagnosed with adrenal exhaustion, you've got to get through that. So you need to be mentally strong to be able to do that. Once again, we're eating again. So this is around, like you can see here, the food that I've displayed here. It's really healthy, nourishing your body. It is good for you. It's going to go in, it's going to do good things for you. So as much as you can, try and get as much green into you as possible. Move away from the carbs and try and stay really fresh with your food. It's been interesting because sometimes I just crave crappy food because I feel crappy. So it's so interesting. So when you start eating something healthy, you actually do feel healthier. So, but if you can keep it yummy, and that's the thing. I had lunch yesterday and I was like, I just want to go and eat rubbish. And I ended up making a healthy lunch, and I was like, that was so nice. It was so yummy. And it actually gave me energy mentally throughout the day, because I really, really enjoyed the meal that I had for lunch. So now we want to do our emotional work. Now, this is understanding that, they talk about it's okay to not be okay. This could be working with someone, whether it's a counselor, whether it's a psychologist, whether it's, somebody that you talk to through these things, whether it's someone like me that coaches women through things like this. Doing your emotional work with someone else really does help, because it gives you some accountability and it gives you someone to bounce off, vent to. But also there's so many things that you can do on your own as well. Journaling is a really, really good one for getting your emotions out and taking them out of your head and being able to kind of put words around them. It does make a difference being able to do that, and asking yourself questions around, well, how does that make me feel? How does that make me feel? That's a really good one as well. Now, this is really hard, socializing, because it's sometimes the last thing you feel like doing. So you've got to find a way that you can still stay in touch with other people, even if it's just on the phone, Zooms these days, even things like this. You are there, you've all got your screens off. I can't see any of you, but you're here, you're participating in something, you're learning something. So we've got that mental work going on because you're learning something. You're listening to stories, and unfortunately my voice for about an hour, but you are doing something. So it's really important, and you're around other people. So socializing in any form, you don't have to go to parties and all of those kinds of things, barbecues and parties, that could be hard, but being around people, and don't shut yourself off completely. And every now and then on your Zooms, turn your camera on, talk to people. You might find that you might make some amazing friends just through that. This is a big one. Take a nap if you need it. And that's the thing. We sit there and go, oh, have a nap. Sometimes, people say, oh, on a Sunday, I like to have a little lie down on the couch, in the sun. If you're exhausted, think about this. When you have the flu, one of the things people will say is you need to, obviously get your food and nourish and all of that kind of stuff, but rest. Doctors say bed rest, right? So rest and get yourself well. Same thing here. When you're burnt out, when you're needing a mental health day, take a nap. Let yourself have a little bit of a rest. It's how your body heals. It slows your brain down. It lets you mentally take a little bit of a break, and it gives you some energy. I nap most days, and I kind of feel really lucky that I get to do that now. But I try and do it when Harper's at school now. So that way that when he's home, I'm not, the one that's asleep all the time. Back to eating dinner again. Now, I got into a bad phase with this, that Harper eats a little bit too early for me. I'm not hungry. I probably should eat with him. Eating earlier would be good, because then it would sort of kind of force me into bed and all this kind of stuff. But I kind of have my time with him, and then I want to just have that space to myself and, watch something. I don't watch TV, but, watch something on YouTube or do something with my business. I sometimes have clients at night time. And so I kind of felt that, I would do things, and then I would end up having dinner at like 9 o'clock, and that's not great. So having dinner, making it part of your routine, once again, trying to have good foods, lots of color, enjoy the process of making food if you can, like get involved in making food. It can really bring you into it. Now, reflecting, this is, once again, you can see she's kind of journaling. It's asking questions. This is what reflecting is, and it's being honest. It's hard to be honest and have an honest reflection at times, but it can be a little bit sad at times to kind of reflect on really where you are and what's happening. And I find it a little bit hard to reflect a lot on my own. I find if I'm guided through reflection, it does help a lot. I know that a lot of my clients find that really helpful. It's something that we do a lot. I ask a lot of questions so that it makes you really think about things. And once again, that's exercising your brain, but it's also getting you out of your own head, and you're answering questions which are helping you, but it's probably taking you out of the fog a little bit and doing it that way. So reflection is really important. So do you journal? type a yes in the or a no in the chat if you journal. Journaling for me was something that I always have found really hard. And I think a lot of that has been from working in the police force and not having that kind of trust factor that someone was going to read my journal and then going, I can't even write in there what I do anyway. And so that was really tough. But I every now and then I do journal. I don't do it all the time, but they say that is very, very good for you. And I do encourage my clients to journal. I encourage them to have their journal with them when we work together, because a lot of the time you can forget, things that are going on, like even being on here, you might have learnt something, you might take something away and then you kind of forget it. So I'm seeing no or not consistent. So it is hard to do it, but sometimes it's not good to go back and read where you were. But if you can kind of journal in a way that is future paced, like we talked about before, journaling around how you want to feel, maybe about something that, okay, I felt like this, but what did I do? Try and make it solution based, about desires and things that you want. So make it a bit of like a dream journal or something like that. Don't just, sometimes they say get it all out and just be all negative and stuff like that. But then I'm a massive believer in the law of attraction. So if you go and put all this stuff out, that's what you focused on. But sometimes you do need to get it out. Get it out. But then don't just finish your journal there. Talk about, okay, what do we want? Go back to the goals. Go back to the things that are important. Go back to what you want to do tomorrow. Go back to how you want to feel. Do those kinds of things. Now, sleep hygiene is really important, and it's about, drinking caffeine. We all know these things. Don't drink caffeine. Don't, use your electronics, all of that kind of stuff. But one thing with mental health or burnout is that you can become hypervigilant, and you can also become really engrossed in things. So I get banned by my doctors from watching TV, particularly when there's things like floods, fires, any kind of COVID tragedies, things like that, because my work in the police force just draws me to those kinds of morbid things, and then I become obsessed with them. And sometimes we do it, it might be as simple as playing those games on Facebook, but you just get stuck in this scroll hole of Facebook, and there's no purpose to what you're doing. So with sleep hygiene, it's also around, reading a book. Sometimes it can be hard to read a book if mentally you're not feeling that great, because you're just reading the same page over and over again, it feels like. But trying to not get stuck in something that's completely purposeless is really important. So what things can you do to kind of calm yourself down? Because being on electronics and being, scrolling, playing games does not bring your adrenal glands down and does not reduce your cortisol levels. It actually is keeping everything going, which we don't want. As I said, it is okay not to be okay. You don't have to be okay all the time. You can be someone who is the most ambitious, capable person in the world, and then all of a sudden you're not okay. And that was me. It's hard to go, I'm not okay, to say I'm not okay, but it's not just about feeling it, it's about saying it, not to other people necessarily, but to yourself, to actually say, I don't feel right. And that's, to me, the most important thing and part of the work that I do in speaking to people. Is why I do things like this, so that no one gets to the point where I was. Please, if you just don't feel right, then investigate it. Don't let it keep going and going and going to the point that, mentally it's now turned to physical, then turned to emotional, then it starts to impact on your life. So if you're not feeling right, if you've got that niggly feeling that something's not quite right, if you're starting to get a bit bored, if you're starting to get a bit agitated, If you're starting to feel like the days are just sort of going into weeks and the weeks are going into months, and then all of a sudden, things are flying through and you're starting to feel like they're just going through your fingers. I talk about losing time a lot. And, it's not just people saying, oh, life's short. It's not that. It's when you feel like you haven't got the control that's hard. So there's a couple of things that you can do, and that is to have the basics that you do. And it seems so simple. It seems like something you would do, but on a mental health day, when you just want to stay in bed, don't talk to a single person, and basically eat junk food and potentially watch movies, there's a couple of things that you can do. Make sure you eat so you've got energy. We talked about those 3 meals, so make sure that you are actually eating. Open your blinds. Let some light into your house. It's really important. The light is super, super important. If you think about people that are severely depressed, they just want to stay in the dark. And you need to do the opposite, because we need the melatonin production to be happening, because melatonin is very good for your body for as an antidepressant. So open some blinds. If you can get outside as early as possible in the daytime, get outside and basically look, and don't wear glasses, look outside. Don't have to look at the sun, but basically go out and your body will go, oh, it's morning, I'm meant to be awake. It will trigger it to do that. Even better if you can get out in bare feet and stand on the grass and get a little bit of that grounding. That is fantastic as well. A big one is have a shower. Like, look after yourself if you can. It's nice to have a PJ day, but have a shower, then put your PJs back on and you'll feel really, really different. And I'm saying this because some of these really small things, not having a shower one day can lead to not having a shower the second day, the third day, the fourth day, not opening the blinds, not eating, and then binge eating. And there's so many different things that these can lead to. So if you can do some of these basics, it will help, even if you've got to drag your ass into the shower. Getting cozy is good too. Like, you want to not necessarily, be dressed like, you would never open the door, you'd be so embarrassed, but it's about being comfortable. Like, how are you meant to journal? How are you meant to reflect on things? How are you meant to do any of these kinds of things if you're not even comfortable? So get cozy, put a candle on, have a nice cup of tea, do anything that you want that kind of makes you feel comfortable. That's what you want to do on your mental health day. You're there to pamper yourself. You're there to actually give yourself the day. And you just need to take each day as it comes. And this is how we go beyond it. Like, it's a day at a time. It's like AA, really. Take each day as it comes. Don't set too many rules for yourself. So set some goals and things that you want to do, some things that you'd love to do. Get excited about some things, but don't set rules. And listen to your body. Like I said, if you don't feel right, if you've got a niggling feeling that something's not quite right, like Heather, I feel a bit of fog from time to time. And then Angela, like you're saying, you're feeling burnt out, but you've actually been diagnosed. Anita, you're saying that it sounds similar to what you've been feeling. So you haven't got any sort of, it's just a feeling. It sounds like what I've been feeling. Listen to yourself, listen to your body. Try not to fully surrender to it. You need to maintain the fight to keep going. There's lots of things in life to, keep going for. For me, like if I didn't have Harper, God, I probably wouldn't shower. Because it's just, takes a lot of energy, but, don't fully surrender to it. You've got to actually get up and move through the day and look outside yourself, meaning, look for, if you can get stuck in your own mind, sometimes it can be really not a nice place to be. And so if you can see outside of yourself, you can see that there are other people, that your life actually impacts other people, that your opinions actually help to inform other people, that you can still inspire other people, that you can make somebody laugh. That is a great thing. So think about those kinds of things. And it's okay to say no. I never was a person that said no. I said yes to absolutely everything. And a lot of that was with my work, and it's probably led me to where I am now. So it's okay to say no to some things and realize that you kind of need that mental health day. It's really important. And these days, workplaces kind of understand that, people need this time to regroup mentally. So that's why there are those kind of random leave days that you can actually take. So every month, I actually have two different things that you can jump on in terms of meetups. So once a month, I always have something around Burnout and Beyond, mainly because it is something that is so important to me. I'm on a mission to make sure others don't go through what I did. And I really just hope that even if there's one thing that I say that changes things for other people, that makes me happy. And I also have a second one that is normally either a speaker comes and talks about a different topic, so that we can learn something together or just have something of interest. So there's lots of these things that you can actually jump on, and we love to have you. We do have people come back, and it's really nice to kind of have some regulars, which is really great. So what I do, and I used to charge for these like $200, but I now do them for free. And it's a lifestyle audit. I love doing them. It's a one-on-one audit. I do them sometimes as a webinar, but I find at the moment I'm just doing them one-on-one. And we come in and we look at about 6 different areas of your life and start to go, right, where are we feeling those niggly little feelings? Okay, no, we're feeling good there. This is where we're future paced. This is where we're stuck. And we start to look at a few different things through questions, a lot of questions and reflection, stuff that you probably won't take yourself to because you wouldn't think to. So just sitting with me, usually on a Zoom or on the phone, and we just go through a bit of an audit of your life and come up with a bit of a plan moving forward, not just that goal setting, but a bit of a game plan for moving forward. So we can pop in the chat there. Oh, Kyra's already done it. So there is a Calendly link there that you can click on and just book in a time that suits you. Now, these are absolutely free. There's no obligation. There's nothing that comes from it. You can just have this, and you will actually gain a lot from it. You'll gain a lot of insight about yourself, but you'll also, I think, take a lot from it as well. So please take me up on my offer of the lifestyle audit. I do love, being able to help people. It's what I live for. So I really would love to meet some of you on there. So I want to thank you for your time. I hope that this has been something useful for you. Tell me in the chat whether or not, this has been something that you've taken something from, or what is a bit of an aha that maybe you've had, or there's something that you're not doing. Kyra's also put our group in there, the Transform, Thrive, Unleash community. If you're not part of it, make sure you are. So that's where we announce all of our meetups that we're having. There's posts that go in there and maybe let you have a bit of a think about things. You might have me randomly come in there and go live and just have a bit of a chat to you, or we might bring some of our speakers in as well. So it's just a group that's a nice group to be part of. So let me hear, ladies, you're all just sitting in the chat. You're not here with me. So I'd love to know a little bit more around how this has made you feel. Do you feel as though, just coming back on screen now, and we'll just stop sharing. So do you feel that that you've gained something from today? That would be really nice if you have gained something from today. What was something that I said that maybe made you think, wow, okay, I need to do something here, Or did you come away thinking, actually, I'm kicking goals, I'm totally fine, she's completely screwed up? So I'd love to know what you're actually thinking. That you're still here would be great to know that. And that I have not taken up an hour of your life that you'll never get back. That would be really great. So I think for me, there's lots of different things that I talk about on these nights that we do the Burnout and Beyond. And tonight was about how to spend that mental health day. I challenge you to take one of those, to give yourself a mental health day, to nourish your body, to nourish your mind. Let yourself do something like a journal. Let yourself do like a yoga or a Pilates, something gentle for your body. Maybe a meditation. Try something you haven't tried before. Maybe, listening to some podcasts that are really positive that actually can help as well. So Angela said the information was great and very relevant. I'm so pleased, Angela. Make sure you book in for that lifestyle audit. It would be lovely to chat further to you. I'd love to hear more about your diagnosis and see if we can give you a bit of a game plan moving forward. But thanks for the feedback. That's awesome. And I think as well, looking at things that you can do beyond those days. So you're not obviously going to have a mental health day every day, but what little practices can you put into your life? And there's a thing called habit stacking, and that works really well. So there might be something that you do every single morning. So maybe you are a person that wakes up and the first thing you do is have a coffee. So what could you do on top? Because you're not going to miss your coffee. This is something that you do every single day. So what is something that you can stack on top of that coffee? Maybe that's when you can journal, or maybe that's when you listen to a 10-minute meditation. So you habit stack. So you've got your coffee and you have your 10-minute meditation that you listen to. So those kinds of things work really, really well. Habit stacking. So find something that is really positive for you, for your brain, for you emotionally, and stack it onto something that you do every single day. Try and get outside a bit more as much as you can do that. That's great. You'll find at times if you are a bit burnt out, being outside can be quite tiring, particularly as we're getting into the warmer weather. It can be a little bit tiring. But try and go outside a little bit and maybe then come back and have a little nap if you can. Use that time and understand that it's okay to do those things. And, as I said, you don't have to have a full mental health day, but you can actually build in some mental health practices into your everyday. So that would be something that you can do. Anita, I was gifted a free dream journal from the local Buy Nothing just yesterday. I wrote you wrote poetry. Hoping to use this as my creative outlet. The webinar has inspired me. Oh, beautiful. Yes, doing something like that, having something that you love, and especially if you're creating something. Creation is fantastic. So, you're writing poetry, so that's creation. So that is a really good one. One thing that works really well for mental illness and for burnout and things like that is art therapy. So it's all around creation. So it might be painting, it might be molding clay or something like that. That is fantastic as well. So it doesn't just have to be traditional, chatting and counseling and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, creation is really, really good. So Heather, how have you found it? If you're still there, let me know how you have found tonight. If you've taken something from it, that would be fantastic. And the thing is now thinking about, okay, you've been on here, you spent an hour with me. I really appreciate and I value your time. And I'm so appreciative that you chose to spend your hour with me tonight. But what can you now do from it? So Anita was saying, well, I'm inspired. I'm going to, write my poetry. Perfect. You haven't wasted the hour. You're going to do something with it. And that's what I would really love for you to take out of this tonight, that you can actually do something with it. Move yourself forward and give yourself the gift of, acknowledging that maybe you do need something. So that would be good. All right. This has been really great, really helps. That's great, Heather. Sorry. Being great info gives me more to digest. Okay. So make sure you're booking in for the lifestyle audits. They're there for you. They are completely free. and they're a resource that you can use and take away for yourself. Make sure you jump into the Transform, Thrive, Unleash community if you're not part of it. And keep an eye out for our next meetups that we have. And obviously the one in a month's time will be Burnout Beyond, but you might find the one that's happening in 2 weeks when we have a speaker come on might be something that you'd like to listen to. And once again, it might just be something you go, oh, bit interesting. Yeah, I might have a listen to that. So that is really good for you. That's part of that socializing. That's part of that learning. That's part of that moving that mind muscle. So I want to thank you very much for your time. I've finished right on the hour, so I'm super proud of myself because I can talk underwater. And I hope that, you take something from my story. I haven't depressed you all with my story. Hopefully you take something from it and that you can do something with it. Obviously, I could sit here for days and days and tell you the ins and outs of everything in my life, but it's not all about me. It's about you. This is about you, and this is why I jump on here and do these things. So thank you for your time. Take care. Have a good night, and I really, really hope to see you again. Bye.